like clockwork, the U.S. Senate decided that, hey, guess what? Taxpayer money doesn't need to stay within the boundaries and doesn't need to stay within the borders of the United States. We can send that off to a good cause. We're going to send $40 billion of your money over to the Ukraine. Okay, we've already taken care of you guys enough. It's not like there's a half dozen simultaneous crises going on at the exact same time that could definitely use some of that $40 billion. It could definitely go over there. Don't worry about any of it, okay? We're doing the right thing here. We're on the right side of history, okay? The U.S. Senate on Thursday passed legislation to give $40 billion to Ukraine in economic and military aid. Oh, it's a lot more detailed than that. All Americans suffer from food shortages, inflation, southern border crisis that could use more funding, okay, to hire more border patrol and then to also finish the wall. A baby formula shortage, which, oh, don't worry, according to the the FDA commissioners, the infant formula shortage could begin to ease within a couple of days. No, that's right. That's totally fine, right? Because it's not like people can't, fucking starve out over the fact that they've been without baby formula for the better part of 2 weeks at this point, so that'll be taken care of in the next couple of days, right? Where have we heard that before from this administration? Remember, Joe Biden, he was going to take responsibility and he wouldn't point fingers at anybody else for his problems, even though it's always Orange Man and it's always the Republicans, even though his party has control of both houses, okay? But when it comes to spending taxpayer money and sending it overseas, sending it all abroad and being warmongers, it's a unified front, okay? Because we got the numbers and we got the names to just go ahead and confirm that, because I don't need to see who in the House voted for it. It was always going to pass in the House. There is a decent-ish majority, okay? And there's enough brain-dead motherfuckers in the House, okay, especially on the Republican side, that'd be willing to write a check that your great-great-great-grandkids might be able to cash, if there's even a country left at that point. But you take a look at the Senate, and the bill passed by a whopping 86-11, okay? So, you could take a look at all the Republicans, because it was unanimous. It was unanimous from the Democrats. Like, you got, obviously, Roy Blunt, thank God you're retiring, Dick Burr from North Carolina, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, John Cornyn, Ted Cruz. He must have woke up on, his wife's side of the bed. Chuck Grassley, Ron Johnson. All of these old motherfuckers that still remember back when you were funding good wars like the Korean and fucking War of 1812. We need to shake those, and we need to chase those pesky Canucks back across the border. Manifest destiny, bitch. Little Marco Rubio. Hopefully he can get some fucking lifts for his little shoes. But who are the good ones? Who are the ones who voted against the bill? Well, it's the United Republican Force, okay? It was only 11 of them, but you got to give them their flowers on this. Marsha Blackburn, weird. John Boozman, Mike Braun, Mike Crapo. That's unfortunate. Bill Haggerty. Josh Hawley, who was all gung-ho for Ukraine all of a sudden, but then when eventually the time of platitude stopped, he was like, okay, cool, we're probably done funding this nonsense, but it's glad to see that he turned around. Mike Lee, who's probably the most based senator that's out there, actually alongside Rand Paul, Cynthia Loomis, Roger Marshall, and of course Tommy Tuberville. So yeah, some that you know, some that you love, but it was an uphill, just about largely losing battle, but at least somebody voted against it. Senate voted on House Resolution 7691, the Ukrainian supplemental AIDS package, which passed 86-11. A vote featured strong Republican and Democrat support. Yeah, there's 100 seats and 86 of them voted to spend everybody else's money. How adorable. However, some populist Senate Republicans, opposed the legislation. Senate Republican populists could not stop the vote. Overwhelming Senate support to stop the legislation, even though it required just 60 votes. Senator Rand Paul managed to delay the passage of the bill until Thursday. If you guys could just go ahead and account for some of this stuff, that'd be great. Paul told Breitbart News, Alex Marlow, that the United States would have to borrow the $40 billion to send the tens of billions of dollars to aid in Ukraine. Great, wonderful. Okay, yeah, just put it on the tab. We'll get it back to you at some point or another. The Senate did not vote on Paul's proposed amendment to have an inspector general ensure the billions were spent wisely. No, just send it over there. It's not like there hasn't been rampant corruption in Ukraine for generations. They'll probably just spend it, okay? They need our help. They need our help. This shit's retarded. Bill's delay garnered extra attention from the legislation, which led many lawmakers to question the need to increasingly have the United States intervene on behalf of Ukraine during its conflict with Russia. Yet Russia's just continuing to beat the brakes off of Ukraine, even though the popular sentiment that's out there right now is that it's these valiant renegades in Ukraine. Oh my God, they're just fighting back the Russians, that evil force. Even though they continue to secede multiple cities, when the casualty rate still remains remarkably low when it comes to civilian casualties. I don't know how many Nazis the Russians have yeeted at this point, but not enough. Not enough is the correct answer. Spending $40 billion on Ukraine aid, more than 3 times what all of Europe has spent combined, is not in America's interest. It neglects priorities at home. The border allows Europe to freeload. Yeah, exactly. That's all they do, right? Oh, we've got the sophisticated European Union that everybody else pays for. And then even within the bounds of the European Union, it's just an overwhelming payments from France and Germany, and outside of that, literally everybody freeloads. But now you're getting subsidized by the United States, which is great, which is wonderful. It's definitely not a sign of worse things to come. Shortchanges critical interest abroad and comes with no meaningful oversight. That's not isolation or isolationism, that's nationalism. It's about prioritizing American security and America's interests. Yeah, no, exactly. It seems pretty spot on from Josh Hawley. Wow, I would have expected that statement from Rand Paul, but whatever. Hawley said the $40 billion Ukraine bill represented a return to nation building. A wrong choice. I'm a no. Oh, but Mitten's here. Aw, he filmed a little video. How adorable. Contended that America needs to send Ukraine the tens of billions of dollars in aid to stand with freedom-loving people of Ukraine. Yeah, cool. They're so free and they're so loving. Just don't ask their opinion on gay marriage. Mitt might be especially upset by that. Senator Warmonger, who, if you remember, what was that, a couple of months ago, 3 months ago at this point, where did this incursion start? Can't quite remember. He was also openly calling and advocating for an assassination of Putin, which I don't know if that's necessarily legal or anything like that, but it's definitely welcomed and supported by Facebook. Lindsey Graham said, America is by nature a non-interventionalist nation. Just don't take a look at our recent track record from like the last 20 years or anything like that, and we're very interventionalist. But however, America has historically been the arsenal of democracy, yes, the world's police, and thanks to Trump over the past few years, we used to just be trying to pull back from that because we weren't really seeing a good return of our investment. But all of a sudden, we're the arsenal of democracy once again, and stood up for freedom when very few would. Yeah, I don't know, maybe just talk to the people in eastern Ukraine who want to be a part of Russia and not a part of the corrupt regime in Ukraine, you know, with the guy who's leading them, who's just too busy taking pictures with other people who, you know, show up there because it's just such a dire situation in Kiev where he just continuously gets all of these visitors from around the world who also have more important things to do, but it looks good on a photo spread. Senator Jim Inhofe said, let's be clear, supporting Ukraine in its war against Russia puts U.S. security interests first. That's great. Wonderful. Can you substantiate that? Just because you say it doesn't mean it's true. Oh, he wrote an op-ed in The Hill. That's wonderful. Great. Fantastic. Ukrainian aid package. Here's a breakdown. This is what I wanted to see. Ukraine aid package also passed through the House with overwhelming Democrat and Republican support, although 57 Republicans voted against the legislation. How many Democrats? 0. Breitbart News defense reporter Christina Wong broke down the spending for the Ukraine aid package, which includes $20 billion for the Department of Defense. Yep, there you go. That's called, I think there was a guy who addressed this in his farewell address to the nation. We need to stop the military-industrial complex. Yeah, don't worry about it, though. $17 billion from U.S. military operations, including Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative, and to replace U.S. military equipment sent to Ukraine. $1.8 billion for equipment for Ukraine. $414 million for research and development, test and evaluation related to the Ukraine war. Interesting. $15 million for U.S. troop pay related to the war. What do you need to pay troops for that? That's interesting and a little bit unsettling. And $13.9 million for the Defense Health Program. That's adorable. Good. Send U.S. troops over there to have their fucking limbs blown off. But don't worry about it. We'll hit you back with it. We'll buy a bunch of Band-Aids. Roughly $20 billion was for Ukraine, the State Department, international organizations, and other agencies. How adorable. $8.77 billion in economic assistance for Ukraine. It's going directly to the war. We're just going to give it to your economy for nebulous reasons. $4.35 billion for humanitarian aid, which again, what is that? Don't worry about it. It's for humanitarian reasons. A tax write-off for the government. $4 billion for foreign aid military financing program run by the State Department. Great, more deep state money. $900 million for the administration of children and families for refugees and entrant assistance. Yeah, they're all leaving, and if they haven't left already, what the fuck are you doing? It's been going on for like 3 months at this point. Get the fuck out. $500 million for the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Cool. Why is the U.S. supplying the funds needed to build up these allegedly bombed out civilian buildings? The ones that were housing military operations for Ukrainians? Whatever. $350 million for the State Department's migration and refugee assistance. Again, isn't there refugee money? Isn't that a part of humanitarian aid? Or specifically for people leaving the country, but you need a little bit more. Just put it in a different bucket and we'll just get to it when we get to it. $190 million for State Department diplomatic programs. Need to print a whole bunch of nice flyers. $150 million for global agricultural and a food security program. Yeah, we're running out of fertilizer. Can you go ahead and, plant some crops and, maybe generate some more fertilizer and some wheat? That would be nice. 110 for for embassy security, construction, and maintenance. I thought they already, cleared out the Ukrainian or the U.S. embassy in Ukraine. Whatever. And why do you need $110 million for that? $100 million for State Department for non-proliferation, anti-terrorism, demining, and related programs. That's wonderful. $67 million for the Justice Department. $54 million for the Center for Disease Control and Prevention to carry out public health disease detection related to Ukraine. What about those biolabs? Anyways, $17 million for U.S. states or for the U.S. agencies for international development, USAID. Wonderful. Isn't that what all of this is? Or do you need $10 million to draft up this bill of how you're going to spend $40 billion? $4 million for State Department's Office for Inspector General. Okay, cool. You're just going to pay them. They're just not going to look at it. That's wonderful. Great. $2 million for salaries and expenses, and $1 million for the Office of the Inspector General for specifically the USAID. To me, I don't know. I'm no professional on this stuff. I don't have my poli-sci degree, but it really seems like a whole bunch of pork and a whole bunch of fluff that's never going to be accounted for. Just know that you stand with Ukraine if you're a United States taxpayer. You're on the right side of history. Sure thing. With all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.